What's going on, champs and champettes? It's FireMonkey here, and in today's YouTube video, I'll be telling you how I got level 100 super quickly within the first week of Chapter 3 Season 2. And I already know that some of you guys are going to start commenting in the video down below being like, buy tiers! And to that I say, I actually didn't buy tiers this time around. Instead, I decided, you know what, I'm just going to grind out the battle pass with some friends, and that's what I ended up doing. Now, if I did buy tiers, then this video would have been called How I Got Level 200 Fast, but either way, I do have some very interesting tips to share with you guys that you may not have even thought about doing. So without further ado, let's just get into the entire guide. And what better place to start than by talking about Save the World? I know, a level up guide video including Save the World in the method, but let me tell you guys, Save the World is actually insane when it comes to leveling up fast. And now there's a few different methods here. The first one I want to mention is the one that I have been personally doing. Now this one is a completely AFK method. However, if you're a newer person to Save the World and you don't have a lot of heroes, you'll be unable to actually do this method. Now, in order to do this method, you would need a build like the one you currently see on screen, where you're using this specific constructor to make it so your builds electrify opponents, because with this electric floor going around, you're able to go into the easiest missions in the game, aka in Stonewood, you know, the power level 3, power level 5 missions, set up a small defense around the van or around the balloon and retrieve the data, and you just sit there. You just sit there and watch as the builds destroy literally everything that touches it, except for you, of course, and gives you around 35,000 to 40,000 XP every single game you play. And now Save the World XP is capped at 600,000 per day, aka 8 levels per day. And if you're using the method I'm using, which is, you know, just make a small little base around everything, and then, you know, setting up the little, setting up the base, you know, the constructor base in order to make everything electrified, then you can just AFK and earn 8 levels just by completely leaving your keyboard, doing whatever it is you need to do, such as working on a video, or whatever else there really is to do. However, let's say you don't have those specific characters, you don't have the ability to AFK. What I would say for you to do is definitely play a little bit of Save the World if you own it, and then go through, you know, get to a certain point where you're able to go to those earlier missions, the power level 3, the power level 5s, and complete them with ease, because as long as you're able to complete them, while you won't be able to actually AFK those missions, you'll still be granting yourself around 35,000 to 40,000 XP every 10 minutes, maybe even less, but around every 10 minutes, you'll just be getting tons of XP, so it's super useful. It's a great way to farm this season, and honestly, it's not really even that much of an exploit, because the real exploit, you know, the real AFK trick here is just being far enough in the game where you can go to those earlier levels, and since the game doesn't have XP scaling per region, you know, Stonewood, Plankerton, anything like that, a mission in Stonewood would give you the exact same XP as a mission in Twine, so you could just go all the way back to the easiest missions in the game and grind those non-stop. So definitely Save the World is a major key in leveling up, and I've been doing the Save the World AFK grind personally every single day except for the first day that this season actually released. And now, of course, Save the World isn't the only method for gaining XP, as a old classic method still kind of works, however is majorly nerfed to how it used to be, and that is AFKing in creative mode. Now from my testing, there's been some issues with just AFKing in the creative hub, so personally what I'm going to say here is, firstly, if you do decide to do this method each day for a little bit of XP, definitely make sure that once you load into a creative match, you go to your island, because there has been some issues where if you just AFK inside of the hub itself, you won't actually gain any playtime XP at all. Now for the other thing I want to mention about AFKing in creative mode, instead of being able to go up multiple levels from that 75 minutes, they have actually nerfed it to where you're only going to be getting a maximum of 60,000 XP each day that you're in creative for 75 minutes. So you'll be able to go up around 90% of a level every single day, as long as you're able to, you know, just spare an hour and a half of just, you know, being away from your computer or console, whatever it might be, just to gain some extra XP. But the creative XP method still is a working one people can do. But with both Save the World and Creative out of the way, there's only one place left to really go, which is the land of Battle Royale. And I'm not going to really have any tips to mention for playing creative maps, because creative maps are a little bit finicky when it comes to the Accolade device, and this is a completely, pretty much glitch-free video on how to level up. So firstly, this one should be pretty obvious, but make sure to do your dailies every single day. The reason why is because each daily, every time you do the first 3 dailies in a day, you will gain a total of 45,000 XP, XP plus the 1000 XP for each of those 3 dailies, meaning that as long as you complete those extra 15,000 XP punch cards, you're going to be granting yourself 48,000 XP per day, which if you do it for 2 days, that's an entire level and a little bit extra. And now it's time to go into the best part about today's video, where we actually have some strategies for you guys to use, and some of these strategies I've actually made on my own entirely, and that is the wonderful land of milestones. Now before we go into specific milestones for you guys to take some tips and advice for, something I'm going to mention here is to start taking advantage of the pinning feature. Whenever you're in your menu, whenever you go to a quest and you're hovering over it, look in the bottom right of your screen and you'll see an option you'll be able to select to pin that specific quest that you have currently selected, so that it will show up underneath your map in your actual game. Whenever you're playing without having to open up a menu or anything, you'll be able to have a constant visual reminder of that quest. Now there is a slight issue with milestones where once you complete a stage, that indicator goes away, so you'll have to re-pin it every single time you do a stage, but as long as you stay on top of it, it can actually help you keep your mind focused on, hey, I need to do this specific thing to get some bonus XP. And while you're at it, you might as well go ahead and pin the milestone for consuming foraged items, because in today's YouTube video, that is going to be our first tip we're going to show you guys. Now, everyone has been saying, go to Mancake, go to all these places, because they have foraged consumable boxes that you can actually open. However, through my own research, I found out that one of the better spots that actually has a glitch you can do along with it is Greasy Grove. Now, on screen right now, you can see an image thanks to the help of Fortnite.gg, a website where you can track everything on the map and make your own routes and everything of where all of the mushroom and forage boxes are. Now, what I personally would say here is go around the edge, go to that river on the right side of Greasy Grove, go and consume as many mushrooms as humanly possible. And now to make sure you can consume as much as you need for this milestone, here is your tip. Spotted by one of my Discord server moderators, Infernal Flames, what you can do to actually stop a mushroom from actually being consumed where it gives you shield is to start sprinting the moment the animation of you consuming it from the ground begins. What this will do is make it completely disappear from your inventory. It will count it for the milestone, it will count it towards XP. The only downside is that that mushroom that originally would have been consumed for shield is not being consumed at all. It just is gone. The shield's completely gone, but you at least got the XP, the milestone progress, and one less mushroom on the map. So this is a major spot where every single time I went here, every single game I went there, I was able to complete like 2 to 3 stages of the consume forage items milestone every single game. And since this is 20 stages, I was really able to just grind through this by going Greasy Grove, while everyone else had these other methods of going to Mancake's little, butter barn or wherever else. And now this next milestone tip is one that doesn't just help you complete one milestone, but it's actually a guide on how to complete 5 different milestones all with one simple method. And now these milestones are to damage IO forces, to damage opponents, to deal damage to opponents while in a tank, artillery, or a turret, to destroy structures, and then to get travel distance in a vehicle. And this one is as simple as going to the fortress every single match you go into. The reason why is because at the fortress you're finding IO guards, you're finding a guaranteed tank that no one else is driving, and by shooting the IO guards, not only are you going to get the damage IO forces milestone worked on, but it also counts for damaging opponents, it also counts for damaging opponents while in a tank, it counts as destroying structures, because as you shoot around you'll be able to destroy structures in the fortress, and then as you're done there, as you take your tank away from the fortress, you'll be able to get that travel distance. And right when you wipe out, the fortress, once you've killed Sloan, gotten her weapon, you can make your way up to Command Cavern in order to eliminate more IO guards, in order to eliminate Gunner, and just go through destroying everything you possibly can with this tank, because it just counts for so many different milestones. And now for the Restore Health milestone, this one actually is a glitch. And now what you can do is go into Team Rumble. I know, Team Rumble being useful for XP for once, it's kind of crazy. But what you can do is find Med Mist. And the reason why you want Med Mist is because as the storm closes in, you'll be able to actually use that Med Mist to restore your health. And as long as you don't fully use the Med Mist, meaning that you take it all the way down to 5% left, and you get eliminated by the storm, or just eliminated in general, it will fully refill itself to have 150% more use for you. Basically what this means is that every time you die with that 5% on Medmist and Team Rumble, you'll be able to reuse the Medmist as if you just found it on the ground completely unused over and over and over again, to the point where you can get that 10,000 health restored insanely quickly without having to put that much effort into playing the game, grinding for a super long time, or purposely trying to take damage over and over with fall damage in a normal match, trying to, you know, just use whatever consumables you find that give you health back. And now for the final milestone that I have a specific tip for, it is regarding destroying trees. And now this one might sound like, oh, just grab a vehicle, put on the cow catchers, and just drive around into trees. However, there's a specific spot where every time you go there, you'll be able to complete one stage of this milestone, and that is Logjam Lumberyard. Now the specific trick for this is to grab a Titano mud flap, which spawns all around this area, and all you do is drive into the logs, the pallets, the actual lumber that is laying on the ground. You drive into all of those, because even though those aren't technically trees, they still count as destroying a tree. So you can go there, just drive through everything you see over there, and it will count towards this milestone. And it's amazing that it just works, because this has worked last season as well. So Epic Games never actually patched it, and I don't know if they plan to patch it, but it's definitely a pretty interesting method in order to actually complete this milestone a lot faster. And from my testing, I think you can get around 150 to 200 logs destroyed every time you play a match in this area. However, I don't 100% remember off the top of my head, so just keep that in mind as you use this method. But with all of that said, I hope this video was informative and helped you find some tips and tricks that maybe you weren't aware of, such as, you know, Save the World XP being a major factor in leveling up fast this season, especially if you're late game in Save the World, being able to just completely AFK that area. And if it did, consider dropping a like and subscribe and support the content I create. Overall, however, this season's pretty interesting when it comes to leveling up, and it's also one of the first few seasons in a while where I haven't bought all the tiers right away, so I'd love to hear if you guys have any extra milestone tips or some advice to fix some of the milestone tips I gave in this video. Feel free to drop those in the comments down below. Work with one another to try finding the best methods out there in order to gain the most XP possible. And of course, in this video, I was not covering any type of XP glitches, because personally I don't know any XP glitches currently going on, but also because I want this video to be something that will last this entire season, whereas the only glitches are just very slight modifications that can make leveling up in some milestones ever so slightly faster. But with that said, I'll see you champs and champettes tomorrow with another YouTube video. Peace out.